Morning everyone, some very good big positive news to start the day with. Out of Europe, we are on our way from Munich to Vienna, but we'll be back in Munich. By the way, if you're one of our Patreon members, we'll have some Patreon meetups coming up in Munich and maybe in northern Italy. I've just started a post there. You can either DM me or just leave a comment to the post and we might be able to schedule a meetup. But now let's dive into the news out of Europe, and of course the question has been a little bit lately, like how well are the sales in Europe going for NIO, and we don't really know, also because of the subscription model, which seems to be not explicitly in the delivery reports, right, and also not as a revenue breakdown in the earnings reports. So that's a bit of an issue there because it's a black box for us. However, we know now that NIO just got a big deal from a taxi company in Norway. And the other day there was also actually somebody from Norway sharing some news that NIO is now discounting the ES8 in Norway, and therefore saying like how NIO is struggling in Norway. But on the other hand, we have to consider that first of all, the goal for NIO in Europe currently is just around 10,000 cars. That's the expectations for 2023. So that's not a big deal. And then that, by the way, was mentioned by Li Bin. And on the other hand, of course, then the NT 2.0 platform ES8 is ready. So if you're in Norway today, then of course you will also possibly already wait for this latest model to arrive. So it does seem very plausible to me that NIO is therefore discounting the current models in order to get rid of the inventory. And this taxi deal now might be another way to get rid of some ES8s, but it's actually a big positive deal. This fleet provider has around a fleet of around 13,000 cars, so it's not a small cab provider, and in Norway those cabs need to be electric in the future. And I think the biggest positive here, the takeaway, is that this taxi fleet provider has chosen NIO because of the fact that they have battery swapping, because that's an incremental big pain point for taxi drivers, of course, that they need to be back on the road as quick as possible, and that's possible with battery swapping, very obviously. Unfortunately, on our trip today we don't have a battery swap station between Munich and Vienna yet, but we'll keep you up to date in another video, like how well we've been dealing with the range anxiety going on this trip, which is around 5 hours or more than 400 kilometers. So we'll definitely have to do a bit of supercharging, but as a taxi fleet provider you can obviously not do that because this is kind of lost time, right? So this is where battery swapping comes in handy, and I think that points also into a little bit of what's going to happen in the future, like when we arrive in a more autonomous future where hopefully most of the time the car can drive itself, and also possibly the battery swapping is the only replenishment, recharging opportunity out there as of today that can be fully automated, right? So this is a huge head start for NIO in the taxi business, in my point of view, in the autonomous driving, in the robo-taxi business, if you believe in that future. And yeah, the taxi providers are already buying in today because of that. So not only is this a good deal for a couple of sales in Europe and to get more cars visible on the roads, but also a big buy-in for battery swapping, and that is kind of my main takeaway here. Alright, so this has been it so far, just a quick positive news to start the day. As I mentioned in my video yesterday, I've seen some positive signs there on the yields front and the US dollar. With the Nvidia deal, we possibly get an extension of that today. We'll see how the markets will receive that, but so far I think it was looking good in Hong Kong, what I've seen. And so yeah, this could, in my view, again be the start of a little bit of an upside rally here for Chinese stocks, just based on the fact that the US rates need to come down and the US dollar should reverse at some point in time as well. If it's not this week, if it's not today, then in the very near future, in my point of view. But that's up to the markets to decide. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video.